Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about something many of us have struggled with at some point in our lives: the need to chase. Chasing people, opportunities, or validation can feel like a sprint for our self worth. But the title of our conversation is a mantra I want you to remember: don't beg, don't chase, don't write, and don't call. Let's unpack this together. Self worth is an intrinsic understanding of one's value, a deeply held belief that you are enough as you are. It is an unwavering confidence in your inherent worthiness, regardless of external opinions or achievements. On the other hand, seeking validation is the pursuit of approval from others to affirm that we are good enough, lovable enough, or successful enough. It's an external measurement of worth that fluctuates based on the reactions and affirmations of those around us. While it's natural to crave positive feedback and recognition, the problem arises when we begin to equate this external validation with our sense of self worth. When we rely heavily on validation, we find ourselves constantly chasing after other people's approval. It feels good to be praised, acknowledged, and appreciated. It's a dopamine hit, a momentary boost that makes us feel seen and valued. But this feeling is fleeting because it's conditional and depends on factors outside our control. We become addicted to that external feedback loop, needing to hear the applause or the words of affirmation to feel good about ourselves. It becomes a cycle where our confidence and sense of worth depend on the opinions of others, making it fragile and easily shaken. If the praise stops or if we encounter criticism, our self esteem can plummet, leaving us feeling inadequate. This is why focusing on self worth over validation is so important. When we cultivate a deep sense of self worth, we anchor ourselves in a belief system that says, I am enough just as I am. This doesn't mean we are perfect or without flaws. It means we accept and love ourselves despite those imperfections. Self worth is a recognition of our intrinsic value as human beings, not contingent upon our achievements, appearance, or how others perceive us. It is about recognizing that we are worthy of love, respect, and kindness simply because we exist. This intrinsic value does not increase with accomplishments or diminish with failures or diminish, remains steady and constant. Operating from a place of self worth changes the way we interact with the world. When we no longer seek validation from external sources, we become more grounded and self assured. We don't feel the need to beg for attention or chase after people who do not value us because we know our worth does not diminish based on someone else's inability to see it. Instead of desperately seeking approval, we begin to look inward for affirmation. We validate ourselves by acknowledging our strengths, recognizing our growth, and practicing self compassion when we fall short. This internal validation is far more sustainable and reliable than the fleeting praise we might receive from others. In relationships, whether romantic, professional, or platonic, this shift from seeking validation to embodying self worth can be transformative. When we are rooted in our sense of self worth, we no longer settle for less than we deserve. We set healthy boundaries, knowing that we are deserving of respect and love that is freely given, not earned through begging or chasing. We no longer try to fit ourselves into someone else's idea of who we should be to gain their approval. Instead, we show up as our authentic selves, secure in the knowledge that we are enough. This authenticity attracts people who appreciate us for who we truly are, rather than a curated version of ourselves created to gain acceptance. The journey from seeking validation to embracing self worth is not always easy. Many of us have been conditioned from a young age to seek approval through grades in school, praise from parents, or likes on social media. It takes conscious effort and practice to unlearn this pattern and to start affirming our own worth. One powerful way to do this is by practicing self compassion. This means treating ourselves with the same kindness, understanding that we would offer to a friend who is struggling. Instead of beating ourselves up when we make a mistake or fall short, we acknowledge that imperfection is a part of being human. We remind ourselves that our worth is not defined by our successes or failures, but by the simple fact that we are human beings deserving of love and compassion. Another key aspect of building self-worth is understanding our values and living in alignment with them. When we know what is truly important to us, whether it's honesty, kindness, creativity, or courage, we can make decisions based on those values rather than on what we think will earn us praise or approval. Living authentically and in alignment with our values reinforces our sense of self-worth because we are acting in a way that is true to ourselves rather than trying to be what others want us to be. This inner alignment creates a sense of peace and self-respect that external validation can never provide. Over time, as we practice self compassion, align with our values, and affirm our own worth, the need for external validation diminishes. We begin to see praise and recognition not as the source of our worth, but as a pleasant bonus, a reflection of our effort or the impact we've made, not a measure of our value as a person. Criticism, too, loses its sting. We can listen to feedback, learn from it, and make adjustments without internalizing it as a comment on our worthiness. Our self worth becomes a solid foundation that can weather the ups and downs of life, the praise and the criticism without being shaken. Ultimately, focusing on self worth over validation is about reclaiming our power. It's about deciding that our value is not up for debate, that it does not increase or decrease based on someone else's opinion. It's about standing firm in the belief that we are enough, just as we are, and that we deserve love, respect, and kindness, not because we've earned it or proved ourselves worthy, but because we are human. When we embrace this truth, we free ourselves from the exhausting chase for approval and step into a life where we can truly thrive. Chasing is an exhausting endeavor. When we chase people, opportunities, or even dreams that do not align with our true selves, we often do so from a place of fear and insecurity. We fear missing out, being left behind, or not being enough. So we sprint after what we think we need to feel complete. The act of chasing is rooted in the idea that we must pursue what we want relentlessly, otherwise, it might slip through our fingers. But what if, instead of constantly chasing, we shifted our focus to attracting? The concept of chasing is built on the premise of scarcity, the belief that there is a limited amount of love, success, or happiness, and if we don't chase it, we might never have it. This mindset leads us to believe that if we don't pursue someone, they won't notice us. If we don't constantly push ourselves, opportunities won't come our way. If we don't hustle hard, we'll never achieve our goals. However, this way of thinking is flawed because it overlooks the power of attraction, a concept grounded in abundance rather than scarcity. When we stop chasing and start attracting, we operate from a place of confidence and self assuredness, knowing that what is meant for us will find its way to us. Attracting, in contrast to chasing, is about alignment and authenticity. It involves becoming the kind of person who naturally draws in the people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with who we truly are. It's about living in such a way that the right things are magnetized towards us, not because we're frantically seeking them out, but because we've cultivated the qualities and environment that invite them into our lives. When we focus on becoming our best, most authentic selves, we naturally begin to attract the things that are in harmony with us. It's a process of letting go of the need to control every outcome and trusting that by being true to ourselves, we will create the conditions for the right opportunities to come our way. When we chase, we often end up in a cycle of desperation and neediness. We project this energy outward, and it can actually repel what we desire most. For instance, if we're chasing a romantic partner, our desperation can push them away. They may sense that we are more interested in the idea of having someone rather than truly connecting with them as an individual. Similarly, when we chase job opportunities or professional recognition, we might come off as overly eager or as someone who is not confident in their own abilities. This energy of desperation signals a lack of belief in our own worthiness. It suggests that we don't trust that good things will come to us naturally and that we must force them to happen. On the other hand, when we focus on attracting rather than chasing, we shift the dynamic entirely. We begin to exude a quiet confidence that comes from knowing our value and trusting in our path. This doesn't mean we sit back and do nothing. Rather, it means we take aligned actions that reflect our true desires and values. We work on ourselves, develop our skills, and put our energy into the things that light us up. We invest time in our passions, cultivate meaningful relationships, and create a life that we love. By doing so, we send out a powerful signal to the universe that we are ready to receive what aligns with our authentic selves. Attracting is also about setting clear intentions. It's about getting crystal clear on what we want and why we want it, but then letting go of the need to control how and when it will come to us. When we set an intention, we are saying, this is what I desire, and I believe I am worthy of receiving it, but we also release the attachment to the outcome, trusting that if it's meant for us, it will find its way to us in the right time and manner. This trust is a crucial element of attraction. It allows us to move forward with confidence and ease rather than anxiety and fear. The practice of attracting rather than chasing also requires us to shift our focus inward. Instead of looking outward for the people or opportunities we want, we turn our gaze inward and ask ourselves, what kind of person do I need to become to attract what I desire? This question prompts us to work on our own growth and development, to cultivate the qualities that will naturally draw on what we want. If we desire love, we focus on becoming more loving and compassionate. If we seek professional success, we work on developing our skills and building our confidence. This process of inner work creates an energy of abundance and self assuredness, making us magnetic to the right people and opportunities. It's also important to recognize that attracting doesn't mean we don't take action. It's about taking the right action from a place of alignment rather than a frantic effort to force outcomes. When we act from a place of calm, confident alignment, our actions are more effective and carry a different energy. We are no longer acting out of fear or desperation, but from a place of knowing that we are already whole and worthy. This shift in energy is palpable to others, and it changes the way we show up in the world. We become the kind of person who naturally draws in what aligns with us, rather than someone who is constantly reaching out and grasping at what might never be ours to begin with. Ultimately, the shift from chasing to attracting is a shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. It's a realization that we don't have to frantically pursue everything we want. We can trust in our worthiness and our path and focus on becoming the best version of ourselves. In doing so, we create a life that is rich in opportunities, relationships, and experiences that resonate with our true selves. We attract what is meant for us, not through chasing or forcing, but through the power of our authentic presence and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing we are enough as we are. In our fast-paced, hyper-connected world, the urge to control communication can be overwhelming. We want to make sure our message is clear, our intentions are understood, and most importantly, we crave a specific response from the other person. Whether it's in a romantic relationship, a friendship, or a professional context, we often find ourselves trying to dictate the pace, direction, and outcome of our conversations. We may draft and redraft a message multiple times, carefully curating each word in the hopes of getting the reaction we desire. However, this need to control communication is often rooted in fear and insecurity, and it ultimately hinders the authenticity and flow of our interactions. The desire to control communication usually stems from a fear of uncertainty. We feel vulnerable when we send a message and don't receive an immediate response, or when a conversation doesn't go the way we had hoped. Our minds begin to race with questions. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? Why haven't they replied yet? This anxiety prompts us to send follow-up texts, clarify our intentions, or explain ourselves in excessive detail, all in an effort to manage the outcome and soothe our fears. But in doing so, we inadvertently place our emotional well-being in the hands of someone else. We become dependent on their response to feel secure and validated. When we try to control communication, we often shift from a place of expressing ourselves authentically to a place of seeking approval or manipulating the conversation. We might soften our words to avoid conflict, exaggerate our feelings to elicit a certain reaction, or strategically time our responses to seem more interested or less available. These tactics can create a false sense of control, giving us the illusion that we are steering the relationship in the direction we want it to go. However, this approach is inherently flawed because it's based on a lack of trust both in ourselves and in the other person. We're essentially saying, I don't trust you to respond in a way that I can handle, and I don't trust myself to be okay if the response isn't what I want. Letting go of control in communication means embracing vulnerability. It means being willing to express ourselves openly and honestly without trying to manipulate the outcome. It requires us to send that message without agonizing over whether we'll get a reply right away or if the reply will be what we hope for. It's about saying what we mean clearly and kindly without second guessing ourselves or crafting our words to elicit a specific reaction. This kind of open communication is uncomfortable because it leaves us exposed. We don't have the safety net of controlling the other person's response or managing how we are perceived. However, it is also the only way to build genuine, meaningful connections. Authentic communication is a two-way street. When we try to control the conversation, we are not truly engaging with the other person. We're trying to lead them to a specific place, rather than allowing the natural flow of dialogue to unfold. This limits the potential for true understanding and connection because we are not giving the other person the space to respond honestly. We might think that by controlling the conversation, we are protecting ourselves from hurt or disappointment, but in reality, we are preventing the possibility of real unfiltered connection. We are putting up a barrier that prevents us from experiencing the depth and authenticity that comes from truly open communication. Letting go of control also means being okay with silence. Silence in a conversation can feel uncomfortable, especially when we are anxious for a response. We might be tempted to fill the silence with more messages, explanations, or questions just to elicit a reply and ease our discomfort. But sometimes silence is necessary. It can be a space for reflection, for processing emotions, or for simply allowing the other person time to gather their thoughts. When we resist the urge to fill every gap in the conversation, we give both ourselves and the other person the chance to be fully present and to respond authentically when they are ready. Trust is a crucial component of letting go of control in communication. It involves trusting the other person to respond in their own time and in their own way, even if it's not exactly how we envisioned. More importantly, it requires us to trust ourselves that we can handle whatever response we receive or even the absence of a response. This self trust is fundamental because it shifts our focus away from seeking external validation and towards a deeper sense of inner security. When we trust ourselves, we no longer need to control every aspect of the conversation to feel okay. We can express our thoughts and feelings honestly without being overly concerned with the outcome. Letting go of control doesn't mean we stop caring about the conversation or the relationship, rather. It means we respect the natural flow of communication and the autonomy of the person. We allow them to respond when they are ready in a way that feels right to them. This approach creates a space for genuine dialogue where both parties feel seen and heard rather than pressure to meet unspoken expectations. It also reduces the anxiety that comes from trying to manage the outcome, freeing us to be more present and engaged in the moment. When we let go of control and communication, we open the door to deeper, more meaningful connections. We allow ourselves to be seen as we truly are, rather than presenting a curated version of ourselves designed to get a specific response. This authenticity fosters trust and intimacy as the other person feels invited to do the same. It's a powerful act of courage to communicate from a place of vulnerability without the safety net of control. But it's also the only way to experience the kind of connection that is real and lasting. In essence, letting go of control and communication is about embracing the unknown. It's about stepping back and allowing the conversation to unfold naturally, trusting that whatever the outcome, we are capable of handling it. It's about shifting from a mindset of scarcity and fear, where we believe we must manage every interaction to secure a certain response, to a mindset of abundance and trust, where we believe that authentic connection can only flourish when we release our grip on the outcome. By doing so, we create a space where real, honest, and meaningful dialogue can take place, paving the way for deeper, more fulfilling relationships. Trusting in yourself and your journey is an act of courage and self compassion that many people struggle with. It's easy to doubt our capabilities and second guess the path we are on, especially when things aren't going as planned. We live in a world that places a high value on external metrics of success, achievements, accolades, and societal approval. As a result, we often look outside of ourselves for validation, hoping for signs that we are on the right track. However, true trust in oneself comes from an internal assurance, a deep seated belief that you are capable of navigating whatever comes your way, and that your unique journey is unfolding exactly as it needs to. However, trusting in yourself also means embracing your imperfections and vulnerabilities. It's easy to feel confident when things are going well, but true self trust shines in moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. It requires us to be gentle with ourselves, accepting that we are not always going to have everything figured out. Instead of being harsh and critical when we stumble or make mistakes, we need to offer ourselves the same compassion we would give to a friend. This self compassion is a crucial element of trust because it allows us to see ourselves as deserving of love and respect, even when we're not at our best. It's about understanding that our worth is not tied to our success or failures, but is inherent and unchanging. A significant part of trusting yourself is also trusting the journey you're on. Often we get caught up in comparing our lives to others, feeling as though we should be further along or that we are missing out on opportunities. Social media and societal expectations can exacerbate this feeling, making us question our choices and the pace of our progress. However, every person's path is unique, shaped by their individual experiences, values, and aspirations. Trusting your journey means accepting that your timeline is your own. It's about believing that you are exactly where you need to be right now, even if it doesn't look like what you imagined or what others are experiencing. This kind of trust requires letting go of the need for control and certainty. It's natural to want to map out every step of the way, to have a clear plan and know exactly how things will turn out. But life is unpredictable, full of twists and turns that we cannot foresee. When we cling too tightly to a specific plan or outcome, we set ourselves up for disappointment and frustration. Trusting your journey means being open to the unexpected and willing to adapt when things don't go as planned. It's about understanding that setbacks, detours, and failures are not signs of inadequacy, but are integral parts of growth and learning. They are the lessons that help guide us, refine our goals, and make us more resilient. One of the most liberating aspects of trusting your journey is the freedom it brings. When you stop trying to control every detail and outcome, you allow yourself to be fully present in the moment. You stop living in constant fear of making the wrong choice or taking a wrong turn because you believe that every experience, whether it appears good or bad, is leading you to where you need to be. This doesn't mean you don't make plans or set goals, rather, it means you approach them with a sense of flexibility and openness, knowing that the path to your destination might look different than expected, and that's okay. This mindset shift enables you to enjoy the process rather than being solely focused on the end result. Trusting in your journey also involves cultivating patience. In our culture of instant gratification, it's easy to become frustrated when progress feels slow or when our dreams don't materialize overnight. However, growth and transformation take time. The most meaningful achievements often come after long periods of hard work, perseverance, and waiting. Trusting your journey means believing that the time and effort you're putting in will pay off, even if you can't see the immediate results. It's about having faith in the process, understanding that the seeds you plant today may take time to bloom, but when they do, they will bear fruit that is worth the wait. Finally, trusting yourself and your journey is about embracing the unknown with a sense of curiosity and wonder. Instead of fearing the uncertainty of what lies ahead, you learn to see it as an adventure, an opportunity to discover new parts of yourself and the world around you. This shift in perspective allows you to approach life with a sense of excitement rather than anxiety. You start to view challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth, and you find joy in the process of uncovering your potential step by step. By trusting yourself and your journey, you begin to create a life that is authentically yours, guided by your values, passions, and unique experiences. You stop living according to others' expectations and start making choices that align with your true desires. This kind of trust is empowering because it puts you in the driver's seat of your own life. In a world dominated by noise, chatter, and constant communication, the power of silence is often underestimated. We live in an age where we are bombarded with information and opinions at every turn, be it through social media, 24/7 news cycles, or the perpetual pings of notifications on our devices. It can feel like we are always required to respond, react, or engage, leaving little room for quiet moments of reflection. Yet silence holds an incredible power, one that can transform our relationships, improve our mental clarity, and deepen our understanding of the world and ourselves. Embracing silence isn't about withdrawing or avoiding communication. It's about learning to value those quiet moments that allow us to process, reflect, and connect on a deeper level. One of the most profound ways silence can benefit us is by providing the space to truly listen. In many conversations, we tend to focus on preparing our response rather than actively listening to what the other person is saying. We rush to fill the gaps in the dialogue, uncomfortable with even a few seconds of silence. However, these quiet moments can be where true listening occurs. When we allow for pauses in conversation, we give ourselves the chance to absorb and reflect on what has been said. We can then respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. This kind of deep listening, facilitated by silence, fosters genuine understanding and connection. It demonstrates respect for the other person's words and presence, creating a space where they feel truly heard. In addition to enhancing our listening skills, silence also offers us a unique opportunity to connect with our inner thoughts and emotions. Our minds are often crowded with the noise of daily life worries, to-do lists, and constant distractions. When we allow ourselves to sit in silence, we create a space for introspection. We can observe our thoughts without judgment, gaining insight into our fears, desires, and motivations. This self-reflection is essential for personal growth and mental well-being. It helps us to recognize patterns in our behavior, understand the root causes of our emotions, and make more conscious decisions. In silence, we are free from the pressure to perform or respond, which allows us to engage in honest self-exploration and come to a deeper understanding of ourselves. Silence can also be a powerful tool for calming the mind and reducing stress. The constant noise of modern life keeps our minds in a state of perpetual stimulation, often leading to anxiety and burnout. By embracing moments of silence, we give our minds a chance to rest and reset. This practice of mindfulness or quiet meditation can help us become more present in the moment, bringing a sense of peace and clarity. Studies have shown that even brief periods of silence can lower blood pressure, reduce heart rate, and decrease stress levels. It acts as a counterbalance to the chaos around us, offering a sanctuary of calm where we can regain our sense of equilibrium. By making silence a regular part of our routine, we can cultivate a habit of mindfulness that carries into other areas of our lives, helping us to respond to situations with greater calm and composure. In our relationships, silence can be an expression of comfort and intimacy rather than awkwardness. We often feel the need to fill every pause in conversation with words, fearing that silence might signal discomfort or disinterest. However, the ability to share a quiet moment with someone without feeling the urge to speak is a sign of deep connection. It indicates that both parties are comfortable enough with each other to simply be present together without the need for constant verbal interaction. This kind of silence can be incredibly bonding as it allows for a shared experience of simply existing together in the moment. It's a reminder that words are not always necessary to convey love, support, or understanding. Moreover, silence can serve as a powerful tool in decision making and problem solving. When faced with a difficult decision or a complex problem, our instinct is often to seek out more information, talk it through, or brainstorm solutions. While these strategies can be helpful, they can also lead to overwhelm and analysis paralysis. Taking a moment of silence can provide the mental space needed to process information, clear the mind, and gain perspective. It allows us to listen to our intuition and gut feelings, which are often drowned out by the noise of external opinions and our own overthinking. By stepping back and allowing for silence, we create the conditions for creative solutions and insights to emerge naturally. Embracing silence also challenges the cultural norm that equates speaking up with strength and remaining quiet with weakness. We live in a society that often values extroversion, assertiveness, and constant activity. Silence is sometimes viewed as passive or even as a sign of disinterest or uncertainty. However, choosing silence can be an active, deliberate choice that reflects inner strength and confidence. It takes courage to hold back and observe rather than rush to fill the space with words. Or in situations of conflict, for instance, responding with silence rather than reacting impulsively can be a powerful act. It gives us the chance to pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully rather than getting caught up in the heat of the moment. Silence, in this way, can be an act of strength and wisdom. Furthermore, silence can be a space for creativity to flourish. When our minds are quiet, free from the constant stream of information and distractions, our thoughts are allowed to wander and explore new ideas. Many of history's greatest thinkers and artists have valued solitude and silence as a key part of their creative process. In the quiet, we can tap into a deeper level of imagination and inspiration, connecting with ideas that might not surface in the noisy rush of everyday life. By embracing silence, we open ourselves up to a richer, more nuanced world of thought and creativity. Ultimately, the power of silence lies in its ability to connect us both to ourselves and to others in a way that words often cannot. It allows us to listen deeply, reflect on our inner world, and make space for authentic connection and creativity. In silence, we find the time to breathe, think, and simply be, rediscovering the value of moments that are free from the need for words or noise. It is in these quiet moments that we can truly connect with our inner selves and the world around us. Letting go is often portrayed as a passive act, something that happens when we have no other choice, but in reality, it requires immense courage and strength. It is a deliberate and powerful decision that can transform our lives, yet it is one of the hardest things we can do. Whether we are letting go of a person, a job, a dream, or an expectation, the act itself is filled with deep emotion, uncertainty, and fear. However, this process of release is not about giving up or admitting defeat. Instead, it is a bold acknowledgement of our willingness to embrace change, to step into the unknown, and to trust that there is a future waiting for us beyond what we are holding on to. The first aspect of letting go as an act of courage lies in the willingness to face discomfort. Holding on to what we know, be it a relationship, a role, or a familiar way of being, can feel safe because it is predictable, even if it is no longer serving us. Letting go disrupts this sense of safety, forcing us to confront the unknown. It can bring up feelings of fear, anxiety, and sadness because we are stepping away from the familiar into uncertainty. It takes bravery to confront these emotions head on and to make peace with them instead of avoiding them. The act of letting go requires us to sit with discomfort, to process the pain of release, and to ultimately accept that this discomfort is part of the path to growth and healing. Another critical element of letting go is the courage to relinquish control. We often try to hold on tightly to people, situations, and outcomes because we believe that by doing so, we can control the future or prevent pain. This illusion of control provides a false sense of security. The reality, however, is that much of life is beyond our control. By choosing to let go, we acknowledge this truth and accept that we cannot dictate every aspect of our journey. This act of surrender is not about being passive or indifferent, but about embracing a more fluid and adaptive approach to life. It is an act of faith, trusting that even though we are releasing our grip, we will still be okay and perhaps even better off. It's about having the courage to allow life to unfold naturally, trusting that the universe or our own inner resilience will guide us to where we need to be. Letting go also involves confronting our attachment to the past. We often hold onto things because they represent a part of our identity or because they are tied to cherished memories and experiences. This attachment can be comforting, but it can also keep us stuck, preventing us from moving forward. For example, staying in a job that no longer fulfills us because it once brought us joy, or holding on to a relationship because of the good times we had, can prevent us from seeking new opportunities and experiences that align better with who we are now. The courage to let go means acknowledging that while the past has shaped us, it does not define us. It's about understanding that we can honor our past experiences without allowing them to dictate our present or limit our future. Letting go of these attachments requires us to trust that by making space in our lives, we are opening ourselves up to new possibilities and experiences that are more aligned with our current needs and desires. Another dimension of the courage required to let go is the willingness to confront the fear of loss and failure. Letting go often feels like a loss, especially when it involves stepping away from something or someone we have invested significant time, energy, and emotion into. It can feel like we are abandoning a part of ourselves or admitting that we made a mistake. However, the act of letting go is actually a profound form of self-respect and self-care. It is an acknowledgement that holding on to something that is no longer good for us is a greater loss than the act of release itself. It's about choosing our well-being, growth, and potential over comfort and familiarity. This requires a deep sense of self-worth and the courage to put our needs first, even when it is painful. The act of letting go also involves embracing vulnerability. When we let go, we are often left feeling exposed, unsure of what comes next. The future may appear unclear, and this uncertainty can be frightening. Yet, it is within this vulnerability that true courage lies. To let go is to step into a space where we are no longer hiding behind the things we have clung to for security. It's an invitation to be open, to experience new things, and to grow in ways we couldn't while we were holding on so tightly. This vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength that shows that we are willing to take risks, to face the unknown, and to open ourselves up to new possibilities, even if it means experiencing discomfort or pain along the way. Letting go as an act of courage is ultimately about trust in ourselves and trust in the process of life. It's about believing that we have the strength to navigate the void that letting go can create. It's about trusting that the new experiences, relationships, and opportunities that will come into our lives will bring us closer to our authentic selves. Letting go is a bold statement of confidence in our ability to adapt, to grow, and to thrive even when the future is uncertain. It's about believing that we are capable of handling whatever comes next, and that by releasing what no longer serves us, we are making space for what will. In essence, letting go is not an end, but a beginning. It's a conscious choice to free ourselves from the weight of the past and to embrace the possibility of the present. It's an act of courage that opens the door to new opportunities, experiences, and growth. It's a leap of faith that allows us to trust that even in moments of uncertainty and pain, we are on a path that will lead us to where we need to be.